Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to the Planning and Economic Development meeting, October 15th, 2025, starting at 6:09. Okay, first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Do we have approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. The next item on the agenda is privilege of the floor. Do we have anybody that's on the committee or in the audience that would like to speak on privilege of the floor tonight? Mr. Shagnon?
Quiet gallery tonight.
I like it. Okay, hearing none, we'll get on to the first resolution, which is proposed resolution, is to amend the 2025 budget to implement waterway hazard removal using interest earnings from the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, and 3% occupancy tax reserve. If you could please introduce yourself.
Good evening, Sam Zaffuto, Deputy Director of Finance. This is a renew and amend. This original resolution went through earlier this year. Unfortunately, and I actually met with the public facility staff earlier separately, but we discussed this. This project was initially scheduled to be closed as it was finished last year, and the idea kind of came together to fund it and do some additional work. Unfortunately, it was still on the resolution to be closed as this body kind of approved adding additional funds to it. So this is just renewing and amending to reopen the project so we can finish processing the payments, close the project out correctly.
This is pretty standard.
Yep, and we,
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the committee on the amended resolution?
Just comment, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
It was a very revealing committee meeting we had some months ago that I had no idea that our county Martin Cobb waterway was, and much of it, unable to be transited by a canoe or a kayak. And so once we all were aware of that, I think there's great support for finding the money to get that thing so that the maps we hand out to visitors from Cleveland and whatnot, they can actually transit our county waterway.
as the
parks.
county employee who for about 7 years, if you called the number to complain, you got my extension for the waterway trails, totally support any improvements on the trails.
Great.
So,
Understood.
good work.
Change the trail or change the map.
There you go, right?
Right.
Thanks, Fred. Thank you, Fred, for that. All those in favor of the renew and amend?
Hi.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sam.
If you're looking for a motion to adjourn, no, just kidding. We have
My
one
blood
item.
pressure didn't even go up.
We have one item, I believe Mr. Larson wants to speak on, and other. So at this
Thank you,
point,
Mr. Chairman.
At this point, we'll give you the floor.
Thank you. At our very good, we didn't have a quorum, so couldn't take official action at our hour or so gathering with Mark Geis, his department, and I think a fair number of audit and control people were here in the chamber as well. We had a very good discussion, though, with Mark Geis on a couple of points. One is, and a number of things brought it to mind. In the 25 budget, for example, county budget, we had no county funds available to our economic development department to provide job training, to assist job training, presumably be contractual with our own community college that we sponsor, the JCC. JCC has no dedicated county funding or apparently state funding for job training. So, for example, if out of the roughly 100 people losing their jobs at CERTA, if there were 14 of them that needed upgrading skills in some way, the way it works now, as I understand, JCC has to go out and try to find a grant or something and then put together a program. So in fancy language, with no dedicated funding, they don't have the infrastructure in place to assist an existing employer that needs people upgraded, an employer leaving that has employees left behind that need skills, or attracting a new employer like Electrovia in South County, presumably hiring a brand new workforce. They need job training help. In historically, many states, and North Carolina has been a prime example, when they were stealing our furniture industry away from us, a company that goes to North Carolina was basically guaranteed that through North Carolina's community colleges, the workforce would be trained at no expense to the stolen employer from Chautauqua County. So we threw out the figure of $100,000 for our Economic Development Department to have available as a contractual item, presumably to use with JCC. Mark Geis indicated that he would not oppose that. And then we know the kind of money that has gone into acquiring, what is it, roughly 120 acres in Ripley altogether. Should the anecdotal 50-acre abandoned dairy farm become available somewhere near one of our current industrial parks or a big employer like Cummins and Busti, or in the North County in Sheridan, wherever. At the moment, Mark Geis, is our Economic Development Director, does not have a dedicated capital item and funding line to acquire industrial business park land. And so I was optimistic that maybe $250,000 would be enough for this hypothetical 50-acre parcel near an industrial park or near to water and sewer that it's appropriate for industrial business use. Mark favored more 10,000 an acre, if you remember. Legislator Gustafson filled in admirably running that gathering. So $500,000 capital item. Why make it in the budget now in October for next year? Two reasons. A capital item put in the 26 budget. If Mark Geis and company are not lucky enough to have any land come publicly available near our industrial parks or near Cummins, for example, near Wells Ice Cream, for example, if none comes available, that $500,000 would stay in that account. It stays there for 27, 28, 29. It stays there until it's needed or unless a future legislature closes out that account. While during the discussion, there was some money in capital that conceivably Mark Geis and company could use, but it has some titles to it that maybe like greenfields. Well, an abandoned defunct dairy farm that had underground storage tanks for gasoline and so forth and so on, and chemicals used on the farm aspect over the decades, that isn't going to be anybody's definition of a greenfields. I don't care if the land that becomes available near our industrial parks had an underground storage tank on it, or for some reason as pure as the driven snow. I want Mark Geis to have the resource to be able to make an offer on that property. That doesn't mean that he has bought the property either for the county or the county IDA. In order to buy that property, any offer he made to the farmer or whoever is subject to the county legislature voting to buy county property. But by having that capital item, say $500,000, if the farmer is offered this land publicly for $300,000, Mark can, in good faith, enter into an agreement with that landowner for $300,000 subject to our approval. If he doesn't have that capital line item, the offer is not, I would be reluctant to have him make such an offer when he has no money to back it up. And the question of, well, couldn't we just have him come to us in July of 2026 and say, I'd like to offer 300 grand for this land, and then we pass a resolution taking money out of fund balance at that time. That's an ad hoc approach. I want to give him all the tools that are needed to do the job that I've been challenging the county and the IDA to do. And he was understandable, diplomatic, and simply saying he would not oppose having these two resources made available to him in the 26 budget. So Kitty has given us the language to increase the use of general fund balance by $600,000, amend Exhibit E of the proposed budget to include an additional planning and development project called Industrial Business Park Land Acquisition in the amount of $500,000 to be funded by general fund balance, increase a specific contractual account, promotion of industry, community contracts by 100 grand, do an inter-fund transfer, which I wish I still understood fully after 40-some years in county government, I don't know, transfer to capital by 500 grand. These are improvements to, these are giving Mark Geis and company the tools needed to do the job that we challenged them to do. The question of would it necessarily be his county department doing this, I would say yes, the contract with our own college. On the acquisition of land, could he have the IDA make the offer on $300,000 of land backed up by our contractual, our capital account here in the county budget? I would think we would not object to him doing that, you know. And again, the money would be available. For those who would challenge me on using $600,000 of our roughly $35 million fund balance, I did some homework. Former County Executive Greg Edwards, at the end of 2008, his third year in office, he had a fund balance of $13.5 million. County Executive Horrigan, before the county home sale, at the end of 2013, he had a fund balance of $12.6 million. Our roughly $35 million fund balance, I think it's been reported somewhere, it's about 11% of the proposed budget. It wouldn't be hurt hardly an iota by $600,000 coming out, be appropriated in the 26 budget. And I don't think any of my Republican colleagues here in Mayville would criticize Greg Edwards or Vince Horrigan for having been irresponsible and having fund balances of $13.5 million or $12.6 million. I know I wouldn't. So if our fund balance goes from $35 million down to $34,400,000 by doing this tonight, we're still rock solid in the fund balance.
I do have a question. Was this brought up during audit on that Friday? Because I did not catch any of that meeting or any...
I'm guessing they ignored our discussion on, what was it, Thursday?
Well, there was discussion Thursday, and then...
I don't know about Friday.
And then Friday...
Yeah, we don't know.
Jen can answer.
I'm sorry.
Jen.
Audit and Control did discuss all proposed amendments, including these ones.
Okay.
These ones, the Audit and Control Committee decided not to follow through and put these through as amendments in the 2026
Did they
budget.
have a reason why?
That is something that, I don't know if Mr. Johnson would
Mr.
like to
Johnson,
speak to that and give
or
you more
sure, sir.
When you
information.
say they, I'm not quite sure, but I can say, I objected. And it's basically budget discipline. In that meeting, we reached out and put in another $2 million for, out of the fund balance into safety net,
Yes.
which I didn't like either.
Another one.
One, sorry. Yeah, we're doing one halfway. Which I didn't like either.
Okay.
the fund balance, 35 million is to me a big number. But I do not like philosophically using it a bit here, a bit there to make budget shortfalls. I would have gone back and said, no, if we're short $1 million on safety net, let's go find it somewhere else in the county budget.
Sure.
If we want to do 600,000 here, one, I would want the department to have thought it through and proposed it. And still, I would have gone back and said, fine, if that's what you want to do, then let's get it out of the county budget, not the fund balance.
I don't think
That
the
was my
department has a
opinion.
request, though. I think this is from Mr. Larson's request, I wanted.
No, well, as we discussed it to your
In
question.
audit, okay.
That was my,
Okay.
no.
Fair.
I don't really remember what other people said.
Okay, sure.
Mr. Chairman,
And
I've heard a little bit about it, and I certainly concur with Legislator Fred here. Which Fred?
Winery Fred.
Right, Winery Fred. Fred Johnson, okay? It is about budget discipline, and I would make the comment as the only economist in the room that when, with all due respect to, and I worked very closely with him when he was the county executive, Greg Edwards, and Vince Horgan took a picture of him and his family on the thing down here in Stowe recently. But I have a good relationship with both of them. But I would say that our current environment that we're in really is no comparison to what happened back then. We had a pretty good, Medicaid structure in the county. I think it's prudent to keep additional general funds available, and I would not even think of agreeing to take any money off of that at this time. There are so many uncertainties related to, the safety net programs. Hospitals all over the place are being hit with that. The housing environment's being hit with it. I have several people who have come to me about that. We really need to be prudent and fiscally responsible as a legislature. And so I would not agree to shave off anything related to the 35 million. The other thing too is I am uncomfortable as a legislator with a non-operations person making a recommendation if there's an education or training program needed here in Chautauqua County or Jamestown, that ought to be adopted by the schools. SUNY Fredonia, JCC, and others. I would think that Mark Geist probably, I believe you said he agreed to, at least entertain this. We wouldn't be holding him accountable for the operations associated with, giving him this fund. And so if he's not in front of us, kind of giving us an idea of how he's going to manage the 600,000, I'm in full agreement with Legislator Johnson. I haven't heard that he came and asked for the 600,000. If he comes and outlines what he's going to do with it, and it sounds like something fiscally responsible in an environment that we're in right now. Also, I'm in the healthcare industry, finance industry, and I was in an all-day retreat yesterday in Wilkesboro, Pennsylvania, and I can tell you that there's going to be some challenging times as it relates to some of the healthcare verticals in the county here, because we have a lot of people who live, below the poverty level. And so I think we need to buckle up and make sure we manage that 35 million really well.
Okay. John, do you have something?
Yeah, just
Go ahead, Jeff.
Mr. Chair, you know, I think jokingly, maybe haphazardly, we've labeled what we do, and I am the only garbage man in the room. And that's to put a smirk on everybody's face.
That's okay.
No, that's okay. But.
Not on mine.
Well,
Sanitation, like county sewers,
Yeah.
and our landfill program, our solid waste management is critical to public health. You do a great, important service.
With
Basis of
Fred.
civilization.
It is.
But, you know, my point is this, I'll be the first to say I appreciate what Mr. Larson is asking of this, and 2 points I want to respond to 2 of his questions or actions or proposals. One, when, say, for example, CERTA is closing down, they notify New York State. The federal government is notified. Chautauqua Works is available. MTI, what is it, Manufacturing Institute, it's a county,
Manufacturing
state.
Technology
Yeah,
Institute,
there you go. They're all, the state is identified, and the state unemployment is identified or notified. And there are current avenues and places for these folks to go. And I'm sure the employers, if they employ a certain number of people, are probably required to do it and to help them through their HR departments. I know some of that stuff exists, so I think we had a young lady in here, Mrs. Geis from Chautauqua Works. You know, I think some of those things already exist. What they are, I'm not quite sure what they are, but I think they can be identifiable. Maybe some structure could be put in place rather than just creating. I appreciate the idea. I think maybe we're just not maybe aware of all that exists out there. Secondly, regarding the amount of money for property to buy for new development around existing business parks that we have, I would be more open to working with the existing commercial properties. Just say what we're driving down Washington Street in Jamestown. I think there's a couple greenfields on there. You look at the commercial websites for commercial property for sale, man, there's a lot of pieces of property for sale in Chautauqua County. They already exist in water and sewer zoned for commercial businesses already. So rather than spending that money on properties that tie into an existing business park that we have, I would think that our IDA knows that stock, what is for sale or what isn't for sale, or who owns the properties around existing business parks today. I would be more open to saying, okay, what can we do for existing businesses that their properties adjoin a greenfield within specifically our cities, Jamestown and then Dunkirk. But I am open to that, but I would not be in favor of creating it in this
Just to
case
create
only.
it. Okay.
But I am open to the concept.
Okay, Jim.
Yep, similarly to John, I know Pierre did indicate that there are some funds available for both greenfields and brownfields, not specifically denoted. But at this point, I guess I have a question. You called it a capital program, and I know we have a capital process. So was your intention for this to be, just to be added to the budget, or to be a capital expenditure? Because I feel like a capital expenditure is something that is planned and the money is specifically devoted for that it will occur in the budget cycle. For example, the capital expenditure to redo the TPs out on the trails or different things. And that, because I only say that because my husband's on the planning board, and there's a lot of effort and process that goes into exactly a capital procedure. So I'm not sure if you're using the word capital as part of the actual capital process, or if you just are looking to get capital for this project.
It's the latter.
I think there might be some confusion there, because it looks like Kitty has here that she's transferring it to capital, by which I don't think we can facilitate it that way. Just to kind of clarify, I think it has to be a budget amendment, not a capital project amendment, even though we're talking about capital, if that makes sense.
I realize that this idea, as extraordinary as it is, I got elected to be a lawmaker,
Right.
okay? And the suggestion that county legislators should not make law, or shouldn't write a law, is extraordinary.
Well, I'm not.
And the Capital Projects Committee, I certainly respect all of our volunteer committees, but they don't have the final say on what we invest capital in. We do, okay? And the business that, well, wouldn't these capital items be for that in the budget year that they go into? That doesn't necessarily happen at all. We budget money for a bridge, and due to engineering difficulties or bidding difficulties, it doesn't get done in '26. It gets done in '27 with the capital funds that we approved in 2025 or the '26 budget. If I had changed my enrollment, it's capital item in the budget, capital. It's just what she has, promotion of industry, community the other one.
Well, okay, thank you for clarifying that. I just didn't know if we were able as a legislature to add to capital since that's an additional.
Of course we can. We have a resolution coming up Wednesday night to approve $7.2 million of borrowing and I had never heard of it till.
So maybe we should have Mark
No.
put this in as a capital expenditure, for the 2027 budget.
Well, then he doesn't have the money available if land became available next to Cummins Engine in your district, right?
Yep, he does have it available though.
No, he's got,
He's got greenfields and brownfields, as we indicated.
we went over that. It's not up to 500,000, Legislator Gustafson.
It's not
Jamie?
500,000, no.
Jamie, if I can just clarify, with highest regards to your husband serving on the planning board, we have a fast policy on the legislature that's been in place for many years now, that any capital projects have to be reviewed by the planning board and their recommendation provided to the legislature before the legislature takes action. So all of those capital projects in the tentative budget have been reviewed and approved by the planning board.
Right.
So with this
we
proposed
can't
one
add
B, we
something
can't
to
add to that?
It would need to be reviewed by the planning board before it would come to the legislature for action.
So that's the process.
That's the process.
But, correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, CapExes, as I call them, are specific.
Yes,
They're not a pot of money to spend.
exactly. And that's where the planning board reviews a specific project, not a pot of money.
Exactly. Now, my next question is, just real world. Again, my corporate life, we'd have what we call an emergency CapEx process. There's a heck of a corporate jet by cracky, it's just wonderful. We need to make a decision within 3 days. We could do that. How would we do that in the county?
We would allocate fund balance.
Well, but wouldn't we grab the capital planning committees to sit down?
Yes.
Here it is.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was not going where you were going. You're absolutely right, and we have done that before. We've called emergency meetings of the planning board to review an emergency opportunity.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, that's what.
So if that
It's
apocryphal
also-
dairy farm popped up at a hell of a bargain, we could spin this around in a week if we had to.
Yes, we could.
Yes.
Okay.
That's all.
With a legislature that meets once a month.
We've called emergency meetings of the legislature before, too.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Not in these 2 years.
but, okay, so
Yeah, we did.
the system works.
System works.
Well, I'll take one last shot at doing my job. If I had re-enrolled as a Republican, I think this would pass this evening. Be that as it may,
I wouldn't get my vote, but
be
anyway.
that as it may, to use as an explanation that we're going to guard this fund balance and we shouldn't be getting into new expenditures, I gather then you all have communicated to the county executive you oppose his brand-new $500,000 fund to promote theoretical consolidations, towns merging with towns, villages dissolving, school districts merging. You all are going to vote for a $500,000 pool of money that has no specific uses for it.
Legislator Larson, if I could clarify your understanding, the proposal from the county executive is for an initiative, not a fund. There is no dollars attached to his proposal to establish an initiative. It has a maximum amount, but there are no dollars allocated. And the process is, in his proposal, that if municipalities or organizations want to pursue a project for cooperation, collaboration, efficiency, they bring the proposal to the legislature, and the legislature allocates the money to it. Where that money comes from is up to the legislature to determine at that point in time. But his proposal appropriates, allocates no money.
Well, it had a $500,000 figure on it in the presentation to it, didn't it?
That was his objective, was to put a program together for $500,000, appropriates no money to it.
So if I introduce a resolution, Mr. Chairman, pre-file it for Wednesday night, that it's our goal to enable our economic development people to acquire land for industrial business park use, and is our intent to make $500,000 available to them, subject to our later approval, you all would vote for it.
Mr. Larson, I would be open to that if you had some.
Well, I've heard earlier in my life, in this 2 years, people that are open to something until they got to Wednesday night.
Well, yeah, you don't know me, but I don't.
We've had good discussions.
Yeah, we have, and I
Yes.
respect that.
I
But
respect
I would
you.
be opposed to raising my hand and saying yes, but, I mean, it has to be tied to existing businesses that are already struggling now, that may need to expand and buy additional property, the greenfields and the brownfields, because when we do that, I think that opens up other doors for grants from the federal government, from New York State.
I believe you're right, John.
Yeah, you know, and I think this, you specifically beat the Ripley thing to death. You do.
Well-
And that's an odd
Out
one.
in the parking lot, I'm not alone, but in here I am.
Well, I am open to it. It is an awful lot of money. I just wish I would.
Per acre.
I would wish I would have been the person who owned the property, right?
Yes.
You know, we all each had our chance, but, so those programs already exist with New York State and the federal government, the greenfields and the brownfields. And I would be open to making something a resolution along those ideas. But, I mean, no money is set aside, but as Chairman Shagnon has already said, if we had an instance where somebody came to us and proposed something,
We could turn it around quickly.
we could turn it around real quick. But I'm not opposed to any of those ideas, but I just don't know if we do it, you know, October 14th, today's the 15th, and we vote on it right now.
On the job training issue part of it, a legislator mentioned SUNY Fredonia. I don't know if you saw the article, the new, well, he's not so new, but the president of SUNY Fredonia put out, I think, his 10 priorities. I read them. Not one of them was economic development. And I wrote an essay for the Post-Journal at some point where I indicated that I had taught it. I might be the only legislator in here that's taught at Fredonia. I taught 8 years, business law. I witnessed firsthand that SUNY Fredonia, with its wonderful history as a teacher's college, a wonderful music program, I witnessed they struggle mightily to figure out what their role is to help local industry, to help a new business coming in, even to the North County. And I appreciate that that's not their niche. So to say, well, SUNY Fredonia's out there to help when there ever gets to be a drug company and the $200 million facility and equipment. I don't think SUNY Fredonia is there. Talk about all the resources for job training. If Washington gets its way, Job Corps here in Cassadaga will go away. So that job training option will be gone.
Fred,
I understand.
Those were
I-
arbitrary statements, because would you agree with that it makes sense to pay $80,000
possibly to educate one individual?
Well, I
Right or
know,
wrong, I mean, those are things that we all have to look at, and even in our own New York State higher education, what it costs to educate a human being, and what do we get for that amount of money?
what I think,
I'm all for education.
unless my 73-year-old memory is really shot, our legislature voted in favor of Job Corps and Cassadaga staying here. And to my knowledge, we still don't have an acknowledgement from our congressman that we took that position. But I understand where I'm at. You all are very supportive of Senator Borrello as a minority state senator who, as a minority state senator, can't achieve much except pass a bill to continue our 8% sales tax. Minority senators are allowed to do that. He can pass legislation to continue our occupancy tax. He can get an occasional overpass named after somebody. Same with our Assemblyman Molitor, who he and I are pretty good colleagues from, he was a brand new assistant DA doing misdemeanors in my court. He started in my court. I have great respect for Borrello and Molitor, but you see how they're treated in Albany. It's sort of the way I'm treated here in Mayville, which is very disappointing. It didn't used to be this way when the legislature was generally 13-12, rarely 14-11. There was a lot of respect shown for at least thoughtful members of the minority caucus in Mayville. I do my best to use my brain and my experience in county government here. If you all reject it, you're right. The last thing is, the next time somebody blames Medicaid for our budget problems, I will tell you for the 5th, 6th, 7th time, in 2004, the county budgeted $33 million for Medicaid. In 2024, this county budgeted $32 million. That was actual. It was $1 million less 20 years later. We had deflation of our Medicaid expenditure obligations as a county due to the state cap on the local share of Medicaid. I guess I've said all I can. I feel badly that my persuasion skills are so poor these days that I can't have any win on any topic. But all I can do is try, and I won't give up trying. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's it.
Respected, very respected.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, yes.
You know, I
Cameron.
would certainly in this committee recommend that, you know, any program or any suggestion of us approving general fund balance movement be run through the department and the procedure be followed. If Mark Geis is interested in getting in the job training program, collaborate with whatever educational institution in Chautauqua County he'd like to work with, let them put it together and work with legislative later Larson, you know, to maybe fashion it the way he's thinking. None of us, Republican or Democrat, is against helping the people of Chautauqua County, because that's what we assigned to do here.
You're right.
And the poor, the underserved, the taxpayers, the homeowners, the children, and everyone. That's, whether we're Democrat or Republican, that's what our role is here in this legislature. And so everything is not always about politics. We have to be prudent in our decision-making. And to me, this procedure needs to go to the department that's planning operationally. And I oversee budgets, $4.3 billion of them. You know, if someone's got a program that they're interested in, they go to the department that's going to facilitate, build the policies and procedures, build the program like the county executive suggested. And then when there's time to look at the funding for it, then we look at the funding and the program as designed. And that's where I stand on it. I have no intentions of approving it from top down.
Very good. Very well said. We don't need to take, do we have to take action on this, Mr. Chairman?
I've thrown it out there, there's not going to be a second, so as far as the committee is concerned, it's dead.
Well, I want to thank you. I mean, it's a good idea. It really is. I think it's good, but here we are.
Yes, I know where I am.
Here we are, so. Okay. Is there any other this evening from the committee?
Now, I would like to ask a question on the being educated that the $500,000 program to encourage consolidations, shared services, mergers, that there's no money actually attached to it in the 26 budget? Nothing?
Correct.
Was there anybody on a committee that had a department head come in and explain where this proposal came from? Whose proposal is it?
It's the county executives.
Well, alone? There's no department head that came in and explained why now this concept?
I believe it was the county executive by himself that explained it.
Well, on behalf of, I never was in town government, obviously. Well, not obviously, but I never was in town government. But I've had recently folks that were in town government who gave me very real examples over the years of shared services that go on all the time. Shared services has been a concept in this county for at least 40 years.
It works.
So I don't know what additional county funds are needed to promote DPWs from cooperating with one another. I find it incredible. The goal, it's a nice goal. Like you said, oh, Larson, you got a nice goal, but we're not backing it. Can you imagine 2 towns in Chautauqua County merging? I can't. Can you imagine 100,000 from the county funds to 2 school districts making the difference on whether their voters vote for merger? We've only had 2 mergers in Southwestern was 1958. And Mayville Chautauqua was, I got to go as acting county executive to their big celebration when the building opened, whenever that was, 2004. There have been 2 mergers in our lifetimes. Does anybody think 50 grand from the county or 100 grand from the county is going to make a difference in how the people of Brockton ever vote to merge with Fredonia or Ripley ever votes to merge with Westfield? I don't think so. And the state already offers buku dollars up front.
For schools.
For schools.
Yes.
They already do.
Not for municipalities.
No, but for schools. It doesn't make any difference. We've had 2 villages vote to go out of business. Cherry Creek, into the town with the same name, and Forestville, faced with an incredible water disaster, said, we're out of here. I think both places made a brilliant decision. Who's the next village? Anyone think Lakewood's going to vote to go out of business? I don't. Anyone think Fredonia, with 9,000 people, is going to vote to go out of business and go into the town of Pomfret? I don't. And Silver Creek, you think Silver Creek's going to vote to go out of business? I don't think so.
Well, there's been talk.
Well, there's always talk. There was talk in Lakewood. You actually got to a vote,
Yep.
right?
Was it
Voted
real?
it down.
Is it real?
It got to a formal vote. So, again,
Lakewood would merge into what?
Into Boston.
not merge, dissolve.
Dissolve.
Towns have the ability,
The hamlet of Lakewood?
yeah.
No, it would have been the hamlet, it would have been Bustide, town of Bustide.
Town of
There
Bustide,
wouldn't have been
yeah.
a village within the town.
No,
It was
but
after
he's
the
saying,
towns that-
they put up a sign saying Hamlet.
Oh.
That's what Randolph is
Yeah,
now.
the hamlet.
Well, if
And that's
nobody-
accurate.
Nobody merges and we'll save
$500,000. So it's a meaningless, it has no money behind it, we now learn, and it's meaningless to school districts And the state paid for the state paid for a study of Jamestown Police and the sheriff's deputies years ago. Nothing came of that, never came to a vote in the legislature. So somebody gets credit for a great idea, and no money behind it.
Fred, to make you feel better, I think what you have is a good idea.
It is, I'm telling you.
But it can't be accomplished in one day, just to put it bluntly. But I would be more than happy.
And
to have
apparently it can't
discussion.
be accomplished by any of us as legislators elected to legislate, unless it comes from a bureaucrat. We won't support it. Let me tell you, the 98 charter, which might as well be thrown in the fire for winter heating. The 98 charter said the county legislature will set policy for county government, not department heads. This was not to be a reactive body. It was to be, I don't like the word proactive, it was to be the policy-making body. Instead, it is devolved into a once-a-month Board of Directors meeting where we generally say, okay, and we go home. That's not what the 98 Charter wanted this body to be. I don't think this body can be everything the 98 Charter authors hope for. But it doesn't mean we have to abdicate our entire independently elected officials' authority to say, we don't want you to do murals. We want you to go out and buy industrial land. And if you don't go buy it, we want those staff people to be constantly identifying industrial zone land in whatever town that comes available for sale. That's what we want. We don't set policy on anything. And it's too bad. But there's where it is. Might as well have a charter review commission that just says, we're a board of directors, we'll meet once a month and go home. Because that's basically what we are, as a group. There may be one or two, the chair has influence and authority, and one or two others, but otherwise it's just 19 people get together, 17 of them don't say a word, and they go home, get their mileage and their next year $15,000. I've tried to, in very limited ways, get this committee to at least take seriously setting some policy and expecting the bureaucracy to respect what we want them to do. Not the bureaucracy constantly telling us, here's our priorities, okay, and we go home. So, thank you.
I make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
Okay, well, meeting's adjourned, thank
All
you.
in favor?
All in favor, aye.
And how are we going to fix the bills in 2 weeks?
You know what, if you look at the Bills record, they're 4-1.
4 and 2 now, 4 and 2.
If you look at the teams they beat.
I saw that today.
Teams they beat, they have a combined record of 3-1.
3 wins and 21.
So they're kind of contenders at this point. So, being
Wouldn't you like to have been a football